So thank you for inviting me to speak and for everyone here. What I want to talk today about is the role of the labor movement in opposing the genocide. So the Palestinian General Federation of Trade Unions has called on labor unions around the world to not cross the Palestinian picket line and to oppose the genocide by blocking shipments of weapons, by voting for divestment and supporting the BDS movement. And unions all around the world, in many countries, have in fact blocked shipping, and in Spain and many other countries. And that's something that has a long history. In the US, the longshore workers during the fight against apartheid blocked shipments of weapons. And there was another effort in the Longshore Workers Union to pass a similar resolution. Excuse me, just one second. There's also a campaign called Mask Off Maersk, which is being led by the Palestinian Youth Movement, which is aimed at the shipping company Maersk, which ships weapons as well. So that's an important thing that the labor movement can be doing. And the first obstacle that we come against is the trade union bureaucracy, which is not really interested in taking the sorts of actions that are actually needed to substantive actions, and in many cases even blocking ceasefire resolutions. So you have Zionist leaders of trade unions, and really that's because the trade unions are connected to the Democratic Party and they have a different set of interests than the workers in the unions. And so we need to continue to build rank and file power. There are a number of caucuses that have come together in the trade unions around this issue, and so it's been very important in building up new organizations in the labor movement that are fighting for these sorts of things. At the UC, you have a situation where the public education system is being increasingly privatized. And as funding is taken away by the state, there's increasingly a turn toward basically using students and tuition and debt to fund this institution. And so when the regents spend tens of millions of dollars on security and guard their investment portfolios, this is directly connected actually to the privatization of public education. So I think we need to connect the fight against privatization and against anti-immigrant policies and so on with the fight against the genocide, and continue to build up rank and file power against the union bureaucracies.
I'm a member of UPDI, Members for Palestine, one of the unions that represent UC workers here in San Francisco, UCSF, and throughout the state of California, about 17,000 healthcare workers, IT workers, and also research, clinical research coordinators. And I have to give you some bad news. The bad news that I have is not to make us feel hopeless, but rather to realize exactly where we're at in the labor movement. At my union's convention in September 28th and 29th, our union leadership pulled some parliamentary tricks and didn't even allow for a resolution on Palestine to be discussed and voted on. We lost by a 2/3 majority, unfortunately, to even get it on the floor. And UPDI is made up of healthcare workers, and we had passed a resolution in 2021 supporting Palestinian struggle, supporting BDS, demanding an end to U.S. aid to Israel, and also asking for something really, really important, breaking ties with Histadrut. Histadrut is the Jewish supremacist I would call it Zionist supremacist trade union, if you can call it that was established in the 1920s in Israel with the help of the American Federation of Labor, which basically boycotted businesses that hired anybody else besides Jewish people. It was supposed to be in favor of Jewish labor, but in reality, it had nothing to do with uniting the working class. It had everything to do with creating a settler colonial state in Palestine in the 20s. Okay, this is before the establishment of Israel, and has basically been central and crucial in the establishment of the Israeli state, the apartheid state of Israel. To this day, Histrodute is paying the Israeli government the equivalent of 1 vacation day per month per Israeli worker, per workers that work in Israel, to the IDF reservists who are committing genocide. Our unions, however, are still have ties with the Histrodute. We tried to pass a resolution at the Communication Workers of America convention back in 2021, and they called it out of order because they have ties with Histrodute. And what we're fighting for here, UPTI Members for Palestine, is we're going to be creating a caucus of members of UPTI as well as other CWA members so that we can go to the convention of the Communication Workers of America in August in Pittsburgh to, again, fight for Palestine. I'm Chilean American. I was born in New York City. My mother was from Chile. And few people realize the role, the nefarious role that the leadership of labor has played in the intervention of the Allende government in Chile. The AFL-CIO supported the overthrow of the Allende government in Chile with the help of the CIA, and has been doing so through the National Endowment for Democracy in collaboration with the foreign policy objectives of the US government for a long time. And that includes both Democratic and Republican administrations. So the only thing we have right now going for us is the masks are off. The masks are off. We know that the only way we can fight together with this is creating a united front of workers, rank and file workers, that even if we need to go to our own union leadership and tell them enough is enough, you have to fight against genocide. You have to defend workers who are fighting against genocide. You cannot continue to be complicit in genocide, because that's what our own union leadership is. It's also complicit in genocide by supporting Histrodute. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone here, and particularly the lessons that we learned at the Tribunal yesterday about the role of the Regents, the role of the management of this university, because it's hidden. People don't know about the history of the Regents and the relationship to U.S. imperialism and also to Zionism, the murders, the genocide that's going on. And people need to know that. We have to make that an issue in this country and in California. And when you look at this genocide that's going on, my name is Steve Zeltzer, by the way. I'm a member of the Newspaper Guild, a rank and file member of the Pacific Media Workers Guild, and I produce Work Week, and I'm on Pacifica. And when you look at the relationship of the United States to genocide, it's not a new relationship, because the United States has carried out genocide around the world. In Korea, they killed millions of people. In Vietnam, in many countries around the world, in Indonesia. So the coups that have gone on around the world have been genocidal against people, against minorities, pitting people against people around the world. And what was that? That was for the resources of the world, the wealth, the oil of the world. So in California now, and I want to talk about the danger of fascism, because this new government, this new fascist government, this new racist government is going to attack the people and working people and ethnic studies and the immigrants of California. They're making a statement that they're going to use the FBI and the police to go after people at a higher level than we have seen in our lifetimes. So we have to be prepared for what's coming. We have to be organized for what's coming. And I think that they really do not understand the history of this country and the history of California, because this movement in California that brought ethnic studies came about because of a mass struggle of youth and workers. And I was involved at San Francisco State in the San Francisco State strike. For 6 months we went on strike for ethnic studies. And they wanted to bring in the National Guard against us, Reagan. But what happened was the unions at that time, the ILWs, would threaten a general strike if they brought in the National Guard. That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about them using massive police forces, the National Guard, to crush us. So we have to organize in our unions. We have to get our unions to support the change of UC, the Regents. So it's a democratically elected Regents. It's corporatized. It's controlled by the same billionaires, the same racists that run Israel. That's what we're talking about. It's the same structure. And we have to organize and warn people because people are not prepared. People are not prepared in this country, and they're not prepared in California. We're going to have to defend public education. Part of the agenda of Project 2025 is to destroy public education, to cut the funding of public education. And there's no discussion about that here because they're part of that agenda of privatization, because that's exactly what's happened at UC. You have you have corporations, oil corporations that run UC. Richard Blum is stealing money from the pension fund when he was alive, taking the money of the members of the workers of UC. So we need an education campaign, and also we have to prepare now against mass deportations. This is another racist reactionary policy. The workers, the immigrants built this country. The Latino people were part of this before we were in the United States. They lived here. So the Native Americans, the people who live here, they have a right to be here as anyone else would be. And they're going to attack them. They are attacking them. So we have to be prepared to unite the unions at UC, all the unions. Now, the last point I want to make is what's going on now with the workers. Because 3 unions, AFSCME, UPT, and the UAW have contracts that are in negotiation or expiring. That's over 100,000 workers. And there's going to be a strike on the 20th and 21st of UPT and AFSCME. We need to unite with those workers who go on strike. We have to say that their strikes are connected to the struggle against Zionism and the billions of dollars that are going from the United States. Because where does that money come from? It comes from UC. It comes by forcing students to pay money to go to college, which should be free. Students should have a right to go to college for free. It'd be paid. In other countries, they're paid to go to college, but they're putting students in debt. They're trying to destroy their lives. So we're saying our struggle here for Palestine is very much connected to the struggle at UC. It's very much connected to changing the priority of this country and what this country is about. We need to end the military-industrial complex. We need to put the trillions of dollars that are going for war, for public education, public health, so everyone has health care, so people aren't dying in the streets because of privatization of health care. That's what we have to talk about. That's a struggle for all working people of this country and really of the world who are fighting for the same thing all over the world. So I want to thank you, brothers and sisters. We got to be prepared, support the strike on the 20th and 21st. Join them and say, your struggle is our struggle. The struggle against genocide, the struggle for Palestine is the struggle for workers here at UC. Thank you, brothers and sisters.